Hi everyone. Okay. We got one viewer. That's me, I think. Just share this on Facebooks. What I need to do workspace overlay. See. Okay. This has been very boring so far. But what we've got is this. No. Let's just go down and focus on this down here. So let's just try and see what happens. Let's go. It's a little garage door opener. Not much happening on the back. This chip is an EXP82, probably 6.5, but I think it's it could be 6.6. It doesn't really matter. The interesting thing about this is they've got another chip here, which is actually doing all the controlling, and then they're just using this for Wi-Fi. So because we don't really know what's going on in here, what I'm going to do is look up the pinouts for this. I've already looked it up, but it's not in my head. And then what we're going to do is bypass this little chip here because it's completely unnecessary. We can do everything we need to entirely within the ESP chip because I'm going to be putting ESP Home on it. So what I'm going to do is sort through a huge pile of crap to try and find my TTL serial board, which is around here somewhere. Should probably have sorted that out before I started the stream. Now, so we've got that. Is it folded? Oh, I know what I did. It's probably in here. In with my 3D printer stuff. Because I just chucked everything in here. But it does not look like it. Okay. It's the problem with having too many projects going on at the same time, you end up with crap. Okay. Now this is all the wiring for it. It's my FTDI driver is not in here. This container is mostly home automation type stuff. Now, okay, well, not finding it right now, but even before I do that, I will need to solder these on. So, I'll need four wires for the power and serial connection, and I will need another one, but I will need, yeah, that'll do. That one's for the IO0 to ground. When you program an ESP32, this ESP8266, it's the same, but this way you need to short the ground, the pin IO0 to ground, and then let it go to put it into flash mode. So let's, and in fact, yeah, I could run RGB off this after I flash the software, because there's probably some spare IO, and I could configure it to run that. So now I'm just looking up. In fact, let me make another duplicate desktop plus overlay. Just editing OBS. Okay. Desktop plus overlay. Workspace. Move. Add. Display capture. There we go. This is Edge because it happened to be open. I usually use Chrome, but it doesn't really matter. Well, what can I... this needs to... Hang on. There we go. Now you can see me still. Here we go. This is the actual device that it is. That you can actually see on the back. It has the number, which is interesting because if you open it up in the in its actual container, you got to take the screws out and take it out before you can see the model number. But if we do this, ASP. See, that did give me the pin out of the... I think what I want to do is go back to Chrome. ASP. Nope, don't want that one. Flash. Yep. That gives me the pin out here. Ah, well that's right. But what I was actually looking for is the part number of the wireless thing here. That's right. TYW. Yep. Perfect. So I'm going to be flashing this with ESP Home. You can I mean, you flash it with anything, and you don't have to use Arduino. You can program the kind of raw code, but it's much easier to use the Arduino stuff. The two biggest kind of names in the thing are Tasmota and ESP Home. I'm using ESP Home. I think it's a bit easier and a bit more general, but you can use Tasmota. Tasmota uses MQTT, and ESP Home has its own API, and it really doesn't matter. So we can see down at the bottom there is IO0, and then we've got VCC and 3v3. They're connected on the circuit board. I can see. It's hard to, but if you see those two resistors on this side of the board, that's actually connected on the loop. They're on the loop. Anyway, and then we can see U0 RX on the one side, TX on the other side. Those are the pins we need. We need in, voltage in, ground, RX, TX, and IO0. So, now that I've got that, we can switch back to our workspace cam. I'll just fire up the trusty soldering iron. Try and find the end of my solder here. I think I've soldered it. Ah, there we go. To itself. Now, this is quite fine work and a bit of a pain, but it shouldn't be too bad because we're soldering this one to, where am I? Probably need to change the camera setup, to be honest, but there we go. I'm soldering this pin in, this one in there, down at the bottom. That's super hard. This would be much easier if we had someone else doing the camera work. So, that looks like it's heated up. Actually, I'll turn that down a tad. I had the soldering iron turned way up because I was soldering very thick gauge wires, not for remote control stuff. It was actually for the RGB power, because it's the at 5 volts you get a lot of loss, and it had to go the whole. It's a 5 meter RGB strip, and so the power to the other end has actually got quite thick gauge cable. Partly because I didn't have any mid gauge cable available, so move this into here where we're actually able to see it. I'm just going to tin the end of that. Actually, don't need that because I'm going to attach the wire end. Okay. That was folded over before so I could get into stuff. So I'm just going to trim this wire. These are some quite nice wire cutters. These you can see I've put white paint on these. These are my B wire cutters. They're for cutting anything that isn't wire. So cable ties, plastic, whatever. Super useful to do, but it means that when I come to cut wires and strip wires, it's perfect every time. Double check my pins. And let's see. There's not enough solder there. There's not enough light either. But here we go. A little bit of extra solder there. And you'll see I didn't hold the soldering on it for too long because I don't want too much heat in the board. And we're not going crazy here. Alright, that's in there. So now I hold that up. You can see there, it's got a nice connection only to that pin. So beautiful. Now go. Just quickly put the rest on. Hey techie. So ground is on the opposite side and voltage is up there. So we're just going to use black and red for the voltage. And we're just going to, this is the, so I'm still just putting a bit of solder down there to make life easier for myself. And I'll give these a nice tinning. Go, beautiful. And what I'm going to do is point these over this way, just to give myself the most clearance. Now this is all temporary. These won't need to be on here once I've flashed it, because ESP Home and Tasmoda for that matter both have over-the-air flashing. The only catch is that if you are doing something too complicated, you can run out of memory, because the over-the-air flashing requires two partitions, an over-the-air flash one and an active one. And obviously it switches between them as you do the over-the-air flashing. And for modules like this, which are cheaper, versus, hang on a second, I've got one I prepared earlier somewhere, which is in here. Yep. So something like this, which is an ESP32, but this is a hobby grade one, whereas that's integrated and it only has what it needs. So this has got 2 meg of flash storage, and that only has 1 meg of flash storage, which I haven't found to be anywhere, a limitation for anything. but it depends what you're trying to do and how much you're trying to do, because you can program them to do, you know, whatever you like, and it's going to come down to what libraries you want as well. Okay, so TX and RX, yeah, are one pin from the bottom on either side. So it doesn't matter which way they go at this point. So again, yeah, I thought that might happen. These pins are right next to each other. I'm going to just take that one off for now, and then do this first, and then do that one again. Part of the problem here is I really need a new and finer soldering iron tip. This tip is quite well used and relatively large. It's for medium work, not for fine work. And I've discovered over the journey that you can generally make things work without the the correct tools or the specialist tools. But having the right tools can make it much easier, but also can turn a work-stopping disaster or something that's going to possibly take you days to recover into just a bit more work. Okay, that is not soldering back on, so I'm just going to grab this, which is a flux pen. It's just going to make my life a bit easier. And all of this is pretty normal. For this kind of thing, like not going quite right, breaking a bit off, having to futz around a bit. Part of the reason why that came off again. Because obviously to make properly kind of compelling YouTube content from this, it is quite a lot of editing, because you really want a lot of nice voiceovers and explanation, and cut down the process significantly, because this is pretty boring. But this is, how you get shit done. Just, there's moments of inspiration, and then there's just getting the work done. Okay, there we go. That is all soldered on. Now, I'll bring that up to the So we can see the one up from the bottom is TX and RX, and on the top, positive, negative, so 3.3 volts in ground, and then the red one, just come off. Anyway, I'll just put that back on. But this red one is then IO0, which is for shorting so that it goes into write mode. There we go. That's a nice drawing. Turn off the soldering iron. Beautiful. Oh, of course. It was all out of focus for that. But we've got this here now. That's still connected. Yeah, I've been soldering since I was, I don't know, very young. There was a bunch of years where I didn't do much, but I've done a lot of it. If we look in the background there, my 3D printer, which I got a brand new motherboard, beautiful, and then okay, that is not down. Alright. There we go. That's better. So, there we go. We can see it better there. Obviously, I need to make my work area optimal for streaming. It's quite tricky to get the right setup, because you often need super zoomed in shots because you're doing fine work like this. I'm very loud. I'm right next to the mic. No, it's not in there. If I was an FTDI serial adapter, where would I be? Maybe here. Oh, would have been here. Nope. Just a cheeky 3600, and a flick button. I do need to finish setting that up. I mean, the infrastructure's all working. I just have to assign the buttons. They're Bluetooth low energy buttons, and I've got them assigned to the hub. I got the hub when I bought the Flick. Got it on Kickstarter. Got it on Kickstarter, and they're really great. And I had them directly integrating with the LAFX lights, but now that I've gone with Home Assistant, I've got them triggering a webhook with Home Assistant, and that means I can then have them do anything I want only from Home Assistant. Hang on. There we go. It'll be in here. Yep. Got a little MP3 player. LCD board. That kind of thing, but not... Oh, and I have a... What's that? Is that 5 volt DC? Oh, beautiful. I need that. Okay. No, I need that for the thermostat. I'm going to use another ASP to do my thermostat. Turns out my thermostat is really stupid and it's just a mercury switch. And so it only has 2 wires. So there's nothing clever about it at all. No voltages to worry about. I just have to have 5 volts. Then I can run the ASP home and actually change it based on what temperature it is, not what arbitrary scale of temperature is put on the circle around the mercury switch. Which, you know, it works, but it is... this scale isn't what temperature it is. It's just what was put around the hole. I'm still confused. Well, the good news is that this in here are these on-off switches. Bench, driveway, that one's a spare. These all run ASP 8266. You can see the chip on the back there, and by using the angle it that way, using the holes there, you can interface with it the same way I'm going to this and rewrite, and that's what I've done for all of these. Yeah. And these have got their own kind of everything encapsulated, and they cost stuff all to the point where it would cost you so much more to make this from components. So you can just buy these, flash them, and then have them do whatever you like. Whereas if you use them with the firmware they came on, it has to be cloud-based. Whereas Home Assistant you can do entirely locally. And it's not so much that I care about it being, on the Intertrons. It's just that if it's local, it's so much faster. I mean, just the lights switching on and off. And this is 5 volt. Just the light switching on and off is so much faster now that I'm not going through LAFX's cloud. I'll have to read it. That's all right. This is actually a garage door opener, but it's out of its shell. I've got to undo this anyway. And what I'm going to do, I'll get a voltage regulator so that this doesn't have to have its own battery. I mean, I might just use the battery for now to make it work. I might have to order one, and so you can see that that's the garage door opener that I'm going to integrate with. So that's where the button would be. So this goes into the shell, obviously, and they just push the button. So I'm not doing anything clever with the actual garage door opener. All I'm doing is pushing the button the same as the actual control would. The main difference is that I'm going to have a hall sensor to tell me whether or not the door is closed, but I am also probably going to add an IR distance sensor to tell me how far up the door is gone, because I really want to be able to have it part the way up, because my office here is in the garage, and often I want a bit of airflow, but I don't want to have it all the way up. Okay. Whoa, 3 people. That's just amazing. It's amazing that anyone would want to watch this kind of thing, let alone 3 people. Especially when I cannot find what I need. Because I thought it was right here. And it'll be somewhere stupid and obvious. I'm just going through my water cooling gear. It's not in there. For some reason I have a Raspberry Pi in with my wireless USB charging gear, but that's not. Okay, that might even be it. I might have to call it because I can't find the FTDI programmer, which is a bummer. Yeah, just found these connections and realised that which is JST 4-pin, but I have 3-pin for RGB, but it wouldn't matter if I could use the 4-pin and just not use the extra pin. Anyway, still, it's nice to have the right plug. I have many different plugs for many different reasons and seasons. I got everything out of here. Okay, I'm just going to quickly. Okay, let's just stuff. That's RC suspension. That's just screws. And this is definitely not. Now, this has a lot of interesting things in it, but none of it is what I need. Mega 2560 Arduino. A whole bunch of little OLEDs. It's a motion, 6 degrees of freedom motion sensor. Joystick, GPS, but not the one thing I need. Nope. And so I'm going to do this. I would use that Arduino, but it's a 5-volt Arduino, and I need 3.3 volts for the ESP. All ESP32 type chips, and 826, 826, the whole lot of them all use 3.3 volts, which is far more common with newer low power electronics. And I did try using a level converter from 3.3 to 5, but I couldn't make it to work. I'm probably doing something wrong, but that is not. But I did use that to program the chips for the Corsair Commander stuff. Because if you've got a 32U4, which is a Leonardo, an Arduino Leonardo, you need to be able to, if it doesn't have the bootloader, or you've bricked the bootloader, which is probably what happened, you need to reflash it. And you can do that with a programmed Arduino as a programmer. And so that's what I did, because I bricked them a few times in my travels. But now they are working as Corsair Commanders, so I can use iQ to manage all of my RGB while it's all, and that's any RGB that I want. Now, did it fall on the floor? No. I'm annoyed because I only bought it the other day, because the one I had died somehow, which is, that's the story for a lot of things. When you're experimenting and learning, you do blow some stuff up, like that 3D printer motherboard. In fact, let me give that another review here. We'll see if it's in this box. So, this is the motherboard that I bought. That's a Big Tree Tech SKR2. And I bought that to replace this board. Which is a Big Tree Tech SKR 1.4 Turbo. And I bought that to replace this board, which is my AA stock board. And the reason I bought this is because this board is garbage. Well, not garbage, it's just old. It's it's old, it's cheap. Yeah, not great. So, throw this away. Go to modern tech. Great, fantastic. I blew it up. I'm not sure how I blew it up. I don't think that I did anything wrong, but I can't remember. At one point, I got back to it and it didn't work. So I bought this. And then, very cleverly, I had this in backwards. But the beautiful, one of the features of this is it can detect if it's in backwards. So it detected that, told me it was in backwards. I was able to flip it around. And then, after taking this off and adjusting some, the jumper here, because I was trying to use sensorless homing, and it just wasn't even moving at all. Even though it had communication with the stepper drivers, which are these bits. So I was kind of from this way. There was one in here, like that, and I just went like this, and then turned it on. Now, from that angle, from the camera angle, that's very easy to see that I'm off by one there. But from my angle, I couldn't see it. And I suspect that that has then blown up this board, which is brand new. So now I have to wait another however many days for another one to ship and pay another $50 to $100 for another new motherboard, which is not bringing me much joy. So I'm just going to sort quickly through this bag, which has the stepper drivers. It's got shock absorbers for the steppers, which I've never installed because once I got the quieter stepper drivers, I didn't think I needed them. But I still may put them on. And a whole just pile of all sorts of things. This is probably not a 3D printer specific item. That one. The Christmas tree drill bit, which is very handy, but not specific. And then that's another thing. When I go to find it, I would be very sad that I couldn't find it. And that as well, which is a nice, thinner. Hang on, is it a thinner? Is that a? Yeah, it is. 0.7 millimeters versus 1. That's nice. That'll be handy to have a thinner solder that I can do fine work like that with. Yes, that's. Got some spare nice big MOSFETs, cases for them, all kinds of crap, but I don't think it has. Yeah, you can see there is a lot of crap in it, but there is no FTDI. It always happens when you go through stuff. You find interesting things, just not what you're looking for. I think this has become more of an exploration and review of where I keep everything, because I just cannot find this stupid bloody thing. It's not in there. It won't be in there. That's all remote control parts mostly. Some of which obviously works on other stuff, even though it's a lot of power wire, but no. I'll probably put it somewhere where it was like, oh, I need this. I'll have to make sure that it's that it's safe. Probably put it in my bag or something. Alright. Well, I'm going to have to call this and I'll go hunting. Thanks all 4 people for watching. I'll come back later.